1. We're diving into a classic beauty that's up for grabs on Craigslist, a 1962 Ford Galaxy 500. This vintage ride is priced at $12,000 and it's ready for a new owner to take the wheel. Now, let's get real for a moment. The seller claims that this Galaxy 500 is in excellent condition, and from what they've shared, it seems to be in pretty good shape. The ad mentions that it's got the original 292 engine under the hood, paired with a Ford-O-Matic transmission, which is a solid combo. The seats are tear-free, and it even comes with a new headliner, so you won't have to worry about any sagging fabric above your head. The seller also notes that the car is tagged and registered, which is a big plus. You won't have to deal with any paperwork headaches before hitting the road. They do mention that it could use some brake work, but hey, that's pretty common for a car that's been around for over 6 decades. One thing to keep in mind is that the odometer reads 145,000 miles. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's something to consider when you're looking at a classic car like this. It's a testament to the build quality of these old Fords that it's still running strong after all these years. The black paint job looks sleek in the photos, and it's a color that never goes out of style. It's the kind of car that'll turn heads wherever you go, whether you're cruising down the highway or pulling up to a car show. Overall, if you're in the market for a vintage ride with plenty of character, this 1962 Ford Galaxy 500 is definitely worth checking out. It's got a clean title, a solid engine, and a look that's straight out of a classic movie. Just be prepared to put in a little work on the brakes, and you'll be ready to roll in style. As always, be sure to do your due diligence before making any big purchases. Take the car for a test drive, have a mechanic give it a once-over, and make sure all the paperwork is in order. But if everything checks out, this could be the start of a beautiful friendship between you and a piece of American automotive history. 2. We're taking a closer look at a 1976 Chevrolet Camaro that's up for grabs on Craigslist. With an asking price of just $4,500, this classic coupe could be the perfect project car for someone who's ready to roll up their sleeves and bring it back to its former glory. Now, let's be real here. The seller is upfront about the fact that this Camaro has been sitting for many years, and it shows. There's rust on the rear lower corner panels, which is a common problem area for these cars. It's not going to be a quick fix, but if you're handy with a welder and have some patience, it's definitely doable. Under the hood, there's some good news. The seller mentions that there's a newer engine installed, which could save you a lot of headaches down the road. However, they also note that it needs to be modified for smog, and at this point, it's being sold for off-road use only. That means you'll need to do some work to get it street legal, but it's not an insurmountable obstacle. The burgundy paint job is a classic color for these Camaros, and it's got a ton of potential. With some elbow grease and a bit of TLC, you could have this thing shining like a diamond in no time. The interior will likely need some attention too, but that's all part of the fun of restoring a classic car. One thing to keep in mind is the odometer reading. At 120,047 miles, this Camaro has seen some action over the years. That's not necessarily a deal breaker, but it's something to consider when you're evaluating the overall condition of the car. The seller doesn't provide a ton of details about the transmission or other mechanical components, so you'll want to do your due diligence before making any decisions. Take it for a test drive, have a mechanic give it a once-over, and make sure you know what you're getting into. At the end of the day, this 1976 Chevrolet Camaro is a project car through and through. It's not going to be a quick flip, and it's going to require some serious dedication to get it back to its former condition. But if you're up for the challenge and have a passion for classic American muscle, this could be the perfect opportunity to get your hands dirty and bring a piece of automotive history back to life. As always, be sure to do your research, ask plenty of questions, and trust your gut. With a little bit of hard work and a whole lot of love, this Camaro could be the car of your dreams. 3. We've got a real treat for you. A 1978 Chevrolet Silverado that's looking for a new home. This classic pickup is priced at $12,000, and from what the seller tells us, it seems like it could be a solid investment for the right buyer. First things first, let's talk about the condition. The seller rates it as good, which is a promising start. They mention that the paint is decent and the interior is nice, so it seems like this Silverado has been well cared for over the years. It's always a good sign when a classic vehicle has been treated with respect. Under the hood, we've got a powerful 8-cylinder engine that's running strong. The seller says it's functioning properly and has no issues, which is music to any gearhead's ears. Paired with a smooth shifting automatic transmission and a reliable rear-wheel drive system, this Silverado is ready to hit the road with confidence. One cool feature that caught our eye is the fact that this truck has 2 gas tanks. That means you can go even longer between fill-ups, which is a real plus if you're planning on using this beauty as a daily driver or for long hauls. Another nice perk is the factory AC. As any classic car owner knows, air conditioning is a rare and precious commodity in older vehicles, so the fact that this Silverado has it is definitely a selling point. The tires are also in good shape, according to the seller. That's one less thing you'll have to worry about replacing right off the bat. Now, let's talk about the aesthetics. The paint color is listed as custom, which could mean a lot of things. From the photos, it looks like a nice deep blue that really makes this truck stand out. The interior looks clean and well maintained, with no obvious signs of wear and tear. The odometer reads just 55,625 miles, which is relatively low for a vehicle of this age. Of course, as with any classic car purchase, you'll want to verify the accuracy of the mileage and have a mechanic give it a thorough inspection before making any final decisions. Overall, this 1978 Chevrolet Silverado seems like a solid choice for anyone in the market for a classic pickup. It's got a clean title, a strong engine, and a nice overall appearance. The seller even says it's priced to sell, which could mean they're motivated to make a deal. As always, be sure to do your due diligence before making any big purchases. Take the truck for a test drive, have a mechanic check it out, and make sure all the paperwork is in order. But if everything checks out, this could be the start of a beautiful friendship between you and a piece of American automotive history. One final note. The seller does mention that tax, license, and fees are not included in the price. That's pretty standard for any vehicle purchase, but it's something to keep in mind as you're budgeting for your new ride. All in all, if you're ready to take the plunge into classic truck ownership, this 1978 Chevrolet Silverado is definitely worth a closer look. And 4. We're diving into a real piece of American automotive history. A 1963 Dodge Dart that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This classic wagon is priced at $7,000, and from what the seller tells us, it seems like it's got a lot of potential for the right buyer. First off, let's talk about the engine. This Dart is rocking a slant 6 225 cubic inch power plant that's been upgraded with electronic ignition and a GM HEI conversion. The seller says it runs very smoothly for an inline 6, which is a testament to the reliability of these old Dodge engines. It's currently got a single throat carb, but the seller also has a 2 BBL intake and 3 dual throat carbs that could be used for a performance upgrade down the line. The transmission is a 3-speed manual, shifted on the column like a true classic. The clutch was replaced 6 years ago, but the seller notes that it chatters a bit on engagement now. That's something to keep in mind, but it's not necessarily a deal breaker. This Dart has been upgraded with some nice performance features too. It's got front disc brakes, anti-sway bars front and rear, and subframe connectors for added rigidity. The differential has been swapped out for one from a 73 Barracuda with a 3.23:1 ratio, which should give it a nice balance of acceleration and highway cruising. The wheel bolt circle has also been converted to 4.5 inches, which opens up a lot of options for aftermarket wheels. The interior has been given some love too. There's a new headliner, new seat upholstery front and rear, and decent newer carpet. All the door weather strips, glass channels, and fuzzies have been replaced, and the tailgate weather strip has been custom made from trunk weather strip material. There's also a nice stereo system with kick panel speakers and a subwoofer under the driver's seat. Now let's talk about the condition. The seller rates it as good, but notes that there are some small dents and chips here and there, as well as some rust in the quarters. That's pretty common for a car of this age, but it's something to keep in mind if you're looking for a show-quality vehicle. The odometer has also rolled over, so the actual mileage is unknown. The seller mentions that the car steers straight and stops great, and has had a front wheel alignment within the last 50 miles. That's a good sign that it's been well maintained. One cool thing about this sale is that the seller has a bunch of extra parts that could go with the car, depending on the purchase numbers. They even have a complete under-dash air conditioning system with all new parts that could be included. Overall, this 1963 Dodge Dart seems like a solid project car for someone who appreciates classic American wagons. It's got a clean title, a strong engine, and a lot of potential for customization. The seller is asking $7,000, but says they'll listen to reasonable offers. As always, be sure to do your due diligence before making any big purchases. Take the car for a test drive, have a mechanic check it out, and make sure all the paperwork is in order. But if everything checks out, this could be a really fun and unique addition to your garage. The seller does note that they're too damned old to work on it anymore, which is a relatable sentiment for a lot of us. But if you're up for the challenge and have a passion for classic cars, this 1963 Dodge Dart could be the perfect project to sink your teeth into. 5. We're taking a closer look at a 1968 Chevrolet Corvair that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This classic beauty is priced at just $3,500, which seems like a steal for a piece of automotive history. Now, let's dive into the details. The seller mentions that the body and interior are in good condition, which is always a plus. Under the hood, you'll find a 110 GP motor paired with an automatic transmission, giving you a smooth ride with a decent amount of power. However, it's important to note that this Corvair has been sitting for 6 years. The seller did put in a new battery last year, and the motor would turn over, but it wouldn't fire up. They left it with a mechanic who was supposed to get it running, but after 6 months, nothing was done. That's a bit of a red flag, folks. The seller then got the car back and tried starting it again, but this time, it just clicked. Another mechanic took a look and said the starter was bad, but the good news is that the engine isn't locked up. So, with a little TLC, this Corvair could be a real gem. Inside, you'll find the original radio, but there's also a new AM/FM radio installed in the glove box, which is a nice touch. The interior looks good overall, with only one tear in the driver's seat. The seller also mentions that they have a brand new gas tank, gas line, and rebuild kits for the carbs, although they haven't been installed yet. Now, here's the thing. The seller admits that the car needs some work, and they're not trying to hide that fact. They're being upfront and honest, which is refreshing in the world of used car sales. The title is clean and in their name with no liens, so that's one less thing to worry about. In conclusion, if you're looking for a classic car project with a ton of potential, this 1968 Chevrolet Corvair might be worth considering. Just be prepared to put in some work to get it running like a dream. The seller is entertaining reasonable offers, so if you're interested, don't hesitate to reach out. Who knows, you might just drive away with a piece of automotive history at a bargain price. 6. We've got a real treat for you, a 1965 Chevrolet Corvair Classic that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This beauty is priced at $14,995, which might seem a bit steep, but wait until you hear about all the features that come with it. First off, let's talk about the exterior. This Corvair is rocking a stunning maroon paint job that's sure to turn heads wherever you go. The seller doesn't mention anything about the condition of the paint, but from the looks of it, it seems to be in pretty good shape. Now, let's move on to the interior. Unfortunately, the seller doesn't provide any information about the color or condition of the interior. That's a bit of a bummer, but hey, maybe they're leaving it as a surprise for the lucky buyer. Under the hood, you'll find a 140 engine that's ready to take you on all sorts of adventures. The seller mentions that the car runs and drives, which is always a good sign. They also mention that it's a true classic, and we couldn't agree more. One of the coolest features of this Corvair is the telescopic wheel. That's right, folks. You can adjust the steering wheel to your liking, which is a feature that's not always found in classic cars. The seller describes this Corvair as a super clean 4-door model, which is a bit confusing since the ad also mentions that it's a coupe. We're not quite sure what to make of that, but we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Overall, this 1965 Chevrolet Corvair Classic seems like a solid choice for anyone looking to add a vintage car to their collection. It's affordable, it runs and drives, and it's got some pretty cool features. Plus, with that maroon paint job, you'll be the talk of the town wherever you go. If you're interested in learning more about this Corvair, the seller has provided a phone number and a link to more detailed information. So, what are you waiting for? Give them a call and see if this classic beauty is the one for you. 7. We've got a real gem for you, a 1964 Buick Skylark that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This classic beauty is priced at $12,000 or best offer, which might seem like a lot, but wait until you hear about all the amazing features that come with it. First off, let's talk about the exterior. This Skylark is a convertible, which means you can put the top down and enjoy the wind in your hair on those sunny summer days. The paint is white, and the seller mentions that there's no rust, which is a huge plus for a car that's almost 60 years old. Now, let's move on to the engine. Under the hood, you'll find a Wildcat 310 V8 engine that's been completely rebuilt. That means that this car has been given a new lease on life, and it's ready to take you on all sorts of adventures. The seller even has receipts for the engine work, so you know it's been done right. But the upgrades don't stop there. This Skylark has brand new tires and brakes, which means that it's going to stop and handle like a dream. And with a brand new carburetor, you can be sure that this engine is going to run smoothly and efficiently. Inside, you'll find bucket seats that are in great condition, with no cracks or damage. The original radio is still in place, which adds to the overall vintage feel of the car. And with power steering, driving this Skylark is going to be a breeze. One of the coolest things about this car is that it's in very stock and original condition. That means that it hasn't been modified or customized, and it's a true representation of what these cars looked like back in 1964. It even has the original rally wheels, which are a rare find on a car this old. The seller mentions that this Buick Skylark has a clean title, which is always a good sign. That means you won't have to deal with any legal headaches when you go to register it. And with special plates, this car is sure to turn heads wherever you go. Overall, this 1964 Buick Skylark seems like an incredible find for anyone looking for a classic convertible in good condition. With a rebuilt engine, new tires and brakes, and a brand new carburetor, this car is ready to hit the road. And with its stock and original condition, it's a true piece of automotive history. If you're interested in learning more about this Skylark, don't hesitate to reach out to the seller. They're asking $12,000 or best offer, so there may be some room for negotiation. Who knows? You might just be the lucky new owner of this incredible piece of American muscle. 8. We've got a real blast from the past for you. A 1951 Buick Deluxe that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This classic beauty is priced at $12,500, which might seem like a lot, but wait until you hear about the incredible condition it's in. First off, let's talk about the exterior. The seller doesn't provide any details about the paint or body, but they do mention that it's in real good shape for being original. That's a huge plus for a car that's over 70 years old. It's clear that this Deluxe has been well maintained and cared for throughout its life. Now, let's move on to the engine. Under the hood, you'll find an inline 8 Fireball engine that's ready to take you on a journey through time. The seller mentions that it runs good, which is always a good sign. And with 100,000 miles on the odometer, this car has clearly been loved and driven throughout its life. The transmission is automatic, which makes driving this Deluxe a breeze. And with a clean title, you won't have to worry about any legal issues when you go to register it. One of the coolest things about this car is that it comes with the original price tag. That's right. You'll be able to see exactly how much this car cost when it was brand new back in 1951. It's a real piece of history that you don't often see with classic cars like this. The seller mentions that they hate to get rid of this car, but they need to sell it due to moving and not having enough space. That's a real shame, but it could be your gain. If you're in the market for a classic car that's in good condition and has a ton of history behind it, this 1951 Buick Deluxe might just be the one for you. The seller invites potential buyers to come check out the car in person, which is always a good idea when you're considering a purchase like this. They ask that you send them an email to arrange a viewing, which is a simple and straightforward process. Overall, this 1951 Buick Deluxe seems like an incredible find for anyone looking for a classic car in good condition. With an inline 8 Fireball engine, automatic transmission, and original price tag, this car is a real piece of automotive history. And with a clean title and good overall condition, it's ready to be driven and enjoyed by its new owner. If you're interested in learning more about this Deluxe, don't hesitate to reach out to the seller. They're asking $12,500, which is a fair price for a car in this condition. Just be sure to arrange a viewing and see it in person before you make a decision. 9. We've got a real survivor for you. A 1977 Plymouth Grand Fury that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This classic beauty is priced at $6,500, which might seem like a lot for a car that's almost 50 years old, but wait until you hear about the incredible condition it's in. First off, let's talk about the exterior. This Grand Fury is painted in a classic white color that's sure to turn heads wherever you go. The seller mentions that it's in good condition for a 47-year-old vehicle, which is a huge plus. It's clear that this car has been well maintained and cared for throughout its life. Now, let's move on to the engine. Under the hood, you'll find an 8-cylinder engine that's ready to take you on a journey back in time. The seller doesn't provide any details about the engine, but given the overall good condition of the car, we're guessing it's in pretty good shape. The transmission is automatic, which makes driving this Grand Fury a breeze. And with rear-wheel drive, you'll get that classic American muscle car feel every time you hit the gas. One of the most impressive things about this car is the low mileage. With only 52,500 miles on the odometer, this Grand Fury has barely been driven. That means that it's got plenty of life left in it, and it's ready to take you on many more adventures. The seller mentions that this car has a clean title, which is always a good sign. That means you won't have to deal with any legal headaches when you go to register it. Inside, the seller doesn't provide any details about the condition of the interior, but given the overall good condition of the car, we're guessing it's in pretty good shape as well. This Grand Fury is a Brougham model, which means that it comes with all sorts of luxury features that were top of the line back in 1977. Overall, this 1977 Plymouth Grand Fury seems like an incredible find for anyone looking for a classic American sedan in good condition. With low miles, a clean title, and a well-maintained exterior, this car is ready to be driven and enjoyed by its new owner. If you're interested in learning more about this Grand Fury, don't hesitate to reach out to the seller. They're asking $6,500, which is a fair price for a car in this condition. Just be sure to arrange a viewing and see it in person before you make a decision. 10. We've got a real blast from the past for you. A 1975 Ford Thunderbird that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This classic beauty is priced at $6,500, which might seem like a lot for a car that's almost 50 years old. But wait until you hear about the incredible condition it's in. First off, let's talk about the exterior. This Thunderbird is painted in a classic white color that's sure to turn heads wherever you go. The seller mentions that it's in good condition, with minimal rust and only a few chips on the grille fascia and passenger door. There's also some very minor surface rust on the front lower portion of both front fenders, but the seller has provided pictures to show that it's nothing to worry about. Now, let's move on to the engine. Under the hood, you'll find a massive 460 V8 engine with a 4-barrel carburetor that's ready to roar to life. The seller mentions that the car has been recently revived from a 20-year storage and that it's been driven about 1,000 miles since then with all necessary repairs completed. The transmission is automatic, which makes driving this Thunderbird a breeze. And with rear-wheel drive, you'll get that classic American muscle car feel every time you hit the gas. One of the most impressive things about this car is the low mileage. With only 88,641 miles on the odometer, this Thunderbird has been well maintained throughout its life. The seller acquired it from the original owner's estate, which is a testament to how well it's been cared for. The seller has also recently replaced a bunch of parts, including the carburetor, fuel filter, water pump, radiator, coolant hoses, power steering hoses, and valve cover gaskets. That means that this car is ready to hit the road without any major issues. Inside, the seller mentions that the interior is nice, but doesn't provide any further details. However, they do mention that the 8-track player works, which is a cool vintage feature that you don't often see in cars these days. It's worth noting that the seller describes this car as a driver-quality vehicle, not a show car. That means that it's not in perfect condition, but it's still a great car to drive and enjoy on a daily basis. Overall, this 1975 Ford Thunderbird seems like an incredible find for anyone looking for a classic American muscle car in good condition. With low miles, a clean title, and a bunch of recent repairs, this car is ready to be driven and enjoyed by its new owner. 11. We've got a real classic for you, a 1980 Chevrolet El Camino that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This beauty is priced at $10,000, which might seem like a lot for a car that's over 40 years old, but wait until you hear about the potential it has. First off, let's talk about the exterior. This El Camino is painted in a classic white color that's sure to turn heads wherever you go. The seller doesn't mention anything about the condition of the paint or body, but given the overall good condition of the car, we're guessing it's in pretty decent shape. Now, let's move on to the engine. Under the hood, you'll find a powerful 350 V8 engine that's ready to roar to life. The seller mentions that the car has a 5-speed manual transmission, which is a real treat for those who love to feel the power of the engine as they shift gears. One thing to note is that the air conditioning is not working, which could be a bit of a bummer for those hot summer days. However, the seller is upfront about this, and it's something that could be fixed with a bit of work. The odometer has rolled over, which means that the actual mileage of the car is unknown. The seller mentions that it currently shows 137,300 miles, but it's unclear how many times it's rolled over. This is something to keep in mind if you're looking for a low-mileage vehicle. The seller is looking for a buyer who has the means and desire to bring this El Camino to its full potential. That means that while the car is in good condition overall, there may be some work that needs to be done to get it in tip-top shape. This could be a great project car for someone who loves to tinker and make improvements. Inside, the seller doesn't provide any details about the condition of the interior, but given the overall good condition of the car, we're guessing it's in pretty decent shape as well. One thing to keep in mind is that this El Camino has a clean title, which is always a good sign. That means you won't have to deal with any legal headaches when you go to register it. Overall, this 1980 Chevrolet El Camino seems like a great find for someone who loves classic cars and isn't afraid to put in a bit of work to get it in perfect condition. With a powerful 350 V8 engine, a 5-speed manual transmission, and a clean title, this car has a lot of potential. If you're interested in learning more about this El Camino, don't hesitate to reach out to the seller. They're asking $10,000, which is a fair price for a car with this much potential. Just be sure to arrange a viewing and see it in person before you make a decision. 12. We've got a real treat for you, a 1966 Ford Galaxy that's up for grabs on Craigslist for just $5,800. This classic beauty is the LTD model, which means it's packing some serious power under the hood. Now, let's talk about the condition of this Galaxy. The seller says it's in good shape, and from what we can see, the body looks solid for its age. That's pretty impressive for a car that's been around for over 5 decades. The odometer reads 89,000 miles, which is relatively low for a car of this vintage. One of the coolest things about this Galaxy is that it's been upgraded with some modern touches. The engine has been given some love, and the brakes have been modernized, which means you can cruise around in style and stop on a dime. Plus, since it's exempt from smog tests, you won't have to worry about any pesky emissions regulations. The seller describes the engine as amazingly strong and powerful, and we have no reason to doubt them. With 8 cylinders and rear-wheel drive, this Galaxy is built for performance. And let's not forget about the custom paint job. It's sure to turn heads wherever you go. Now, the seller does mention that this Galaxy is ready for continued restoration. While it's in good shape overall, there may be some areas that need a bit of TLC. But hey, that's part of the fun of owning a classic car. You get to put your own personal touch on it and make it truly your own. One thing to keep in mind is that the seller will be out of the country starting June 25th. So if you're serious about snagging this Galaxy, you'll want to act fast. And speaking of serious, the seller is only looking for serious inquiries, so if you're just window shopping, you might want to keep scrolling. All in all, this 1966 Ford Galaxy LTD seems like a solid choice for any classic car enthusiast. With its powerful engine, modern upgrades, and eye-catching custom paint job, it's sure to provide plenty of joy on the open road. And at just $5,800, it's a steal compared to some other classic cars on the market. So what are you waiting for? Seize the day and make this Galaxy yours. 13. We've got a real gem for you. A 1984 Chevrolet Corvette that's up for sale on Craigslist for just $10,700. This classic sports car is in excellent condition and ready to hit the road. First things first, let's talk about the mileage. With only 53,600 miles on the odometer, this Corvette has been incredibly well maintained over the years. The seller even confirms that these are the actual miles, so you can trust that this car hasn't been driven into the ground. Now, let's talk about the condition of this Corvette. The seller describes it as super clean and needs nothing, which is music to any car enthusiast's ears. The white paint job looks pristine, and the rubber, trim, and interior are all said to be in exceptional condition, like new. It's clear that the previous owners have taken great care of this car. One of the coolest features of this Corvette is the Targa roof, which can be taken on and off with ease. The seller notes that it seals perfectly, so you won't have to worry about any leaks or drafts while you're cruising down the highway. Under the hood, this Corvette is packing a powerful 8-cylinder engine that's sure to get your heart racing. The seller says it runs great, and with rear-wheel drive, you'll be able to feel every bit of that power as you take on the twists and turns of your favorite road. The seller also mentions that they've recently installed a new set of Toyo tires, which have less than 500 miles on them. This means you'll be able to enjoy a smooth, comfortable ride right out of the gate. And with an oil, filter, and lube service done in the last month, you can trust that this Corvette has been properly maintained. Now, it's worth noting that while this Corvette is in excellent condition, it is still a classic car. That means it may not have all the modern amenities and features that you're used to in newer vehicles. But for true enthusiasts, that's all part of the charm. Overall, this 1984 Chevrolet Corvette seems like an excellent choice for anyone in the market for a classic sports car. With its low mileage, excellent condition, and recent maintenance, it's ready to provide years of driving enjoyment. And at just $10,700, it's a bargain compared to some other classic Corvettes on the market. If you're interested, be sure to reach out to the seller soon. A car like this won't stay available for long. 14. We've got a real unicorn for you. A 1982 Dodge Challenger that's up for sale on Craigslist for just $8,900. This car is in absolutely incredible condition and has a fascinating history to boot. First things first, let's talk about the mileage. The odometer reads 233,000 miles. But before you start to worry, let me explain. The original owner of this Challenger used to tow it behind their RV from the time it was new until the late 90s, which accounts for the high mileage. However, the seller notes that the car feels like it only has 50,000 miles on it, and there's no wear on the original interior. That's a testament to how well this car has been maintained over the years. Now, let's talk about the condition of this Challenger. The seller describes it as being in excellent condition in and out, and based on the photos, we have to agree. The black paint job looks stunning, and the seller notes that there's never been any rust or rot on this car, as it's been a West Coast car since new. It's clear that this Challenger has been cherished and well cared for throughout its life. Under the hood, this Challenger is packing a 4-cylinder engine, which might not be the most powerful option out there, but it's still plenty of fun to drive. The seller notes that it runs and drives great, and with a manual transmission and rear-wheel drive, you'll be able to enjoy a truly engaging driving experience. One of the coolest things about this Challenger is that it comes with its original window sticker and invoice, which is a rare find for a car of this age. It also has the four-wheel disc brake package, which includes aluminum wheels, giving it a unique look and improved stopping power. The seller mentions that this Challenger has been featured in multiple articles over the years, which is a testament to its rarity and desirability. They're reducing their collection, which is why they're letting this gem go, but it's clear that it's been well loved and cared for during its time with them. It's worth noting that the seller is firm on their price of $8,900 and won't be replying to any "Is this available?" messages. They know what they have, and they're not going to let it go for a bargain price. Overall, this 1982 Dodge Challenger seems like an incredible find for any Mopar enthusiast. With its excellent condition, fascinating history, and rare options, it's sure to turn heads wherever it goes. If you're in the market for a classic Challenger, this one is definitely worth checking out. Just be prepared to act fast. A car like this won't stay available for long. 15. We've got a real blast from the past for you. A 1969 Plymouth Valiant that's up for grabs on Craigslist for just $6,000. This vintage beauty is a true survivor and a testament to the durability of Mopar's famous Slant 6 engine. Now, let's talk about the condition of this Valiant. The seller describes it as being in good condition, which is pretty impressive considering its age and mileage. The odometer reads 285,500 miles, which might seem like a lot, but hear me out. The Slant 6 engine is known for its longevity and reliability, so it's not uncommon to see these cars with high mileage still running strong. Speaking of the engine, this Valiant is packing the original 3.7L Slant 6, which is paired with a 3-speed automatic transmission. The seller notes that the car runs and drives, which is always a good sign for a classic car. With rear-wheel drive, you can expect a smooth and comfortable ride. The exterior of this Valiant is finished in a lovely shade of blue, which looks to be in good condition based on the photos. There's no mention of any major rust or damage, which is always a plus for a car of this age. Now, it's worth noting that this Valiant is not a perfect car. With its age and mileage, there are bound to be some issues that need addressing. The seller doesn't go into detail about any specific problems, but it's important to keep in mind that this is a 50-plus-year-old car, and it will likely need some TLC to keep it running in top shape. That being said, for $6,000, this 1969 Plymouth Valiant seems like a solid choice for anyone in the market for a classic Mopar. Parts for these cars are readily available, and there's a strong community of enthusiasts who can offer advice and support for any repairs or upgrades you might want to tackle. The seller has provided the VIN number in the ad, which is always a good sign of transparency. It allows potential buyers to run a background check on the car and ensure that there are no hidden issues or surprises. Overall, this 1969 Plymouth Valiant seems like a great opportunity for anyone looking to get into the classic car hobby. It's not a perfect car, but it's got a lot of potential and a ton of charm. With its original Slant 6 engine and classic Mopar styling, it's sure to turn heads wherever it goes. If you're interested, be sure to reach out to the seller and schedule a time to check it out in person. Who knows? This could be the start of a beautiful friendship between you and a piece of American automotive history. 16. We've got a real gem for you. A 1953 Chevrolet 210 that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This classic beauty is priced at $13,000, which might seem like a lot, but wait until you hear about all the amazing features that come with it. First off, let's talk about the exterior. This '53 Chevy 210 is a deluxe 4-door model, which means you can bring your friends along for the ride. The seller doesn't mention anything about the condition of the paint or body, but from the looks of it, it seems to be in pretty good shape. Now, let's move on to the good stuff, the engine. Under the hood, you'll find a 350 V8 engine that's paired with a turbo 350 automatic transmission. That's right, folks. This classic car has been upgraded with modern power, so you can cruise down the highway in style and comfort. But that's not all. The seller has also done some serious work on the electrical system. They've installed all new wiring, which means you won't have to worry about any pesky electrical issues. And if you're planning on taking this baby on a road trip, you'll be happy to know that it's got new radial tires that are ready to handle any terrain. Inside, you'll find a few more modern upgrades like an auto-sound AM/FM stereo and a new heater. That means you can rock out to your favorite tunes while staying warm and cozy on those chilly morning drives. The seller mentions that this Chevy 210 runs and drives perfectly, which is always a good sign. And with only 3,000 miles on the odometer, it's clear that this car has been well maintained over the years. One of the best things about this classic car is that it's got a clean title, which means you won't have to deal with any legal headaches when you go to register it. And if you're not local to the area, don't worry. The seller says you can fly in and drive this baby home. Overall, this 1953 Chevrolet 210 seems like a fantastic choice for anyone looking for a classic car with modern upgrades. It's got a powerful engine, a comfortable interior, and a clean title. What more could you ask for? If you're interested in learning more about this Chevy 210, don't hesitate to reach out to the seller. Who knows? You might just be the lucky new owner of this incredible piece of automotive history. 17. We've got a real treat for you. A 1975 Buick Regal that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This classic beauty is priced at $13,000 or best offer, which might seem a bit steep, but wait until you hear about all the amazing features that come with it. First off, let's talk about the exterior. This Regal is rocking a custom paint job that's sure to turn heads wherever you go. The seller mentions that it's got a pinstripe and candy finish, which gives it a unique and eye-catching look. And with those Cragar wheels, this car is definitely going to stand out from the crowd. Now, let's move on to the good stuff, the engine. Under the hood, you'll find a 350 engine that's ready to take you on all sorts of adventures. The seller doesn't mention anything about the condition of the engine, but given the overall good condition of the car, we're guessing it's in pretty good shape. One of the coolest features of this Regal is the hydraulic setup. It's got two 12V Delco batteries, 2 pumps, and 4 switches, which means you can adjust the ride height to your liking. Whether you want to cruise low and slow or hit the switches and show off, this car has got you covered. Inside, the seller doesn't provide any information about the condition of the interior, but given the overall good condition of the car, we're guessing it's in pretty good shape as well. And with only 85,461 miles on the odometer, this Regal has plenty of life left in it. The seller mentions that this Buick Regal has a clean title in hand, which is always a good sign. That means you won't have to deal with any legal headaches when you go to register it. Overall, this 1975 Buick Regal seems like a fantastic choice for anyone looking for a classic car with a unique look and some serious hydraulic setup. It's got a clean title, low miles, and a custom paint job that's sure to impress. If you're interested in learning more about this Regal, don't hesitate to reach out to the seller. They're asking $13,000 or best offer, so there may be some room for negotiation. Who knows? You might just be the lucky new owner of this incredible piece of automotive history. 18. We've got an incredible find for you. A 1985 Pontiac Grand Prix that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This beauty is priced at $14,500, which might seem like a lot, but wait until you hear about all the amazing work that's gone into this car. First off, let's talk about the condition. The seller describes this Grand Prix as like new, and from the looks of it, they're not exaggerating. This car has undergone a frame-off restoration, which means that every single part of the car has been taken apart, inspected, and either repaired or replaced. That's a level of dedication that you don't see very often. Under the hood, you'll find a 305 CI engine that's been given some serious upgrades. The seller mentions that it's got a new cam, lifters, and springs, as well as a new HEI and aluminum water pump. That means this engine is ready to run like a top. The transmission is a rebuilt TH350, which is a reliable and sturdy choice for a car like this. And if you're looking for some serious performance, you'll be happy to know that the rear end has a Posey and 3.23 gears, as well as box control arms and disc brakes. But the upgrades don't stop there. Every single bushing on this car has been replaced with urethane bushings, which means that the ride quality is going to be smooth and comfortable. The frame has been boxed, C-notched for a bigger tire, and reinforced, which means that this car is built to handle whatever you throw at it. The body of the car has been stripped underneath and coated with Raptor liner, which is a durable and long-lasting coating that will protect the underside of the car from rust and corrosion. And with a quick ratio steering box and a 2 inches lowered stance, this Grand Prix is going to handle like a dream. Inside, the seller doesn't provide any information about the condition of the interior, but given the overall high quality of the rest of the car, we're guessing it's in pretty good shape as well. The seller mentions that there are still a few small things that need to be finished on this car, but given the level of work that's already gone into it, we're confident that those things will be taken care of in no time. Overall, this 1985 Pontiac Grand Prix seems like an incredible find for anyone looking for a classic car that's been given a serious upgrade. With a clean title, low miles, and a long list of high-quality upgrades, this car is sure to impress. If you're interested in learning more about this Grand Prix, don't hesitate to reach out to the seller. They're asking $14,500, which might seem like a lot, but given the level of work that's gone into this car, it's actually a pretty fair price. 19. We've got a real treat for you, a 1967 Cadillac Devil that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This classic beauty is priced at $12,000, which might seem like a lot, but wait until you hear about the incredible condition it's in. First off, let's talk about the exterior. The seller doesn't provide any details about the paint or body, but they do mention that there's no rust or body damage. That's a huge plus for a car that's over 50 years old. It's clear that this Devil has been well maintained and cared for throughout its life. Now, let's move on to the interior. This is where this car really shines. The seller has completely redone the inside of the car, with new upholstery, new seats, and a new dash. That means that when you sit inside this Devil, it's going to feel like you're sitting in a brand new car. The attention to detail here is really impressive. Under the hood, you'll find an 8-cylinder engine that's ready to take you on all sorts of adventures. The seller doesn't provide any details about the engine, but given the overall excellent condition of the car, we're guessing it's in pretty good shape. One of the most impressive things about this Devil is the low mileage. With only 44,000 miles on the odometer, this car has barely been driven. That means that it's got plenty of life left in it, and it's ready to take you on many more adventures. The seller mentions that the car has a clean title in hand, which is always a good sign. That means you won't have to deal with any legal headaches when you go to register it. Now, it's worth noting that the seller is looking for serious buyers only. They're not interested in lowball offers or tire kickers. If you're interested in this car, you'll need to have cash in hand and be ready to talk price in person. Overall, this 1967 Cadillac Devil seems like an incredible find for anyone looking for a classic car in excellent condition. With new upholstery, new seats, a new dash, and low miles, this car is sure to impress. And with no rust or body damage, it's clear that this car has been well loved and cared for throughout its life. If you're interested in learning more about this Devil, don't hesitate to reach out to the seller. They're asking $12,000, which is a fair price for a car in this condition. Just be sure to bring your cash and be ready to talk price in person. 20. We're diving into a classic beauty that's up for grabs on Craigslist. Get ready to feast your eyes on a 1973 Plymouth Duster, and boy, does this one have a story to tell. First off, let's talk about the price. At just $6,700, this Duster is a steal for any collector or enthusiast looking for a piece of American muscle car history. But as always, it's crucial to dig deeper and see what's really under the hood. The seller claims this Duster is in good condition, and from what they've shared, it seems to check out. With a clean title in hand and up-to-date registration, you can feel confident that this car is ready to hit the road. The seller also mentions that the floors and trunk are free of rust, which is a huge plus for any classic car. Under the hood, you'll find a slant 6 motor, a reliable and efficient engine that Plymouth was known for back in the day. The seller says the car runs and drives amazing, and with just 50,000 miles on the odometer, it seems like this Duster has plenty of life left in it. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. The seller doesn't mention anything about the car's flaws or issues, which could be a red flag. It's always important to approach these deals with a healthy dose of skepticism and to inspect the car thoroughly before making a purchase. That being said, if this Duster is as good as the seller claims, it could be an incredible find. The fact that it's all original is a testament to its quality and the care it's received over the years. Plus, with working AC, you can cruise in comfort all summer long. In conclusion, this 1973 Plymouth Duster seems like a solid deal for any car lover looking to add a classic to their collection. With a clean title, low mileage, and an original slant-six motor, this car has a lot going for it. Just be sure to do your due diligence and inspect the car thoroughly before making a decision.